Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today's January 8th, and right now we are looking at the lower level water vapor loop. You can see some of the lenticular and some of the rotor action with the mountain wave activity across Southern California. As the high winds continue, fires continue to burn out of control as well. And we're going to keep these winds going through probably at least this afternoon and evening. There will be some drop off in the wind speeds as we go on in through the noon hour or so, and as we go through the afternoon. But the bad news to all this is that we're going to keep things offshore, and we're going to bring another round of some dry offshore winds as we go through later portions of this week. And then potentially for next week as well. We'll take a look at all those details. We'll take a look at the latest of what is going on right now. And if you are down across Southern California, you don't need me to tell you just how hectic it has been for the last 24 hours or so. As you've got some huge fires, including the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire, that are just burning out of control, and there are thousands of acres. If you want a nice weather station, click on that link down below. Not going to spend much time on that, but we've named this here, or I've named it here, the atmospheric hair dryer. Just a very potent setup with got this low pressure here, across some of the Gulf of Alaska and Baja versus the ridge across the Pacific Northwest and California, caught in between with this very impressive jet stream aloft, and we've got these winds in a similar direction all the way down towards the surface. Had a lot of cold air advection, mountain wave activity, substance mixing down from aloft, very powerful winds across the region, and this is at 18,000 feet. But yeah, you heard about the atmospheric river, and you got the atmospheric hair dryer going on here. We've had some very impressive gusts, including places like Burbank, 84 miles per hour. Malibu saw gusts over, actually, sorry, that is, I'm thinking of, sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. The Beverly Hills. So Beverly Hills saw some gusts up over 70 miles per hour yesterday as well, last night about 8 p.m. And still some strong winds ongoing and back up over 50 miles per hour at 8 a.m. Now, nothing has changed as far as this is concerned. Los Angeles National Weather Service calling for life-threatening and destructive windstorm ongoing here. Hopefully people were paying attention. This was put out a couple days ago, but still applies, and this does cover much of Southern California. I would have probably extended this out a little bit more, but you can kind of see how they did nail where the worst of these winds were going to be, and still the fire's ongoing right now. San Diego also with the particularly dangerous situation. Not a very great map here, but you can kind of see where we're looking at. Anaheim is right there, and you can see San Diego County a little bit further south. So not the best map. You can see Corona's right there. But again, widespread gusts there exceeding locally 80 miles per hour, low relative humidities, and this goes on through probably the early afternoon today. And again, we're going to keep the offshore flow going here over the next few days. I'll show you that more in a moment. But this was put out this morning by Los Angeles National Weather Service. And rather than just kind of look at some individual areas, I mean, look at some of these wind gusts. And if I scroll down here, look at all these locations with these impressive wind gusts, just a widespread event. And a lot of places getting gusts 40, 50 miles per hour, that can do it, knocking trees into power lines. It can still be causing some fires as we speak right now. That's why there were some preemptive power shutdowns. If you're wondering about that, you can't have live power lines out there with stuff knocking into trees. But look at this. I'm scrolling down through all these stations with just some ridiculously big wind gusts in here. And again, once you get over 40 miles per hour, places that normally don't get that strong of winds, and with these dry conditions, you can really have some issues. But yeah, Burbank, 84 miles per hour there at 8:30 last night. Just some absolutely ridiculous winds. There's probably going to be a lot of tree damage for some of these places as well. And not only Southern California, but up towards the Bay Area, some nice strong winds also. I mean, you don't think it's very nice for if you're in some of these locations and you're getting tree damage and whatnot, but you see Oakland 52 miles per hour. But yeah, not just Southern California. Blowing dust advisories are out there. It's Phoenix, Arizona. Consider this for the desert areas as well. Tucson here also. And then Las Vegas mentioned that yesterday as well. But anyway, let's take a look at the 80-meter wind speeds on the North American model. So here we are as we go through this morning. It's about 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here. So we're looking at about 15 Z16. You can see the wind still ongoing northeast direction across the Sierra Nevada. Desert areas, it turns a bit more northerly, but still the strong winds continue across much of Southern California. And as we scroll on in towards about the noon hour right there, you can see we start to finally relax them a little bit here, but it's still, they're going to be fairly gusty still across much of the region. And then we keep them offshore, although weaker as we go through the day tomorrow on Thursday. But then watch what happens as we start to go through the late morning hours on Thursday. We pick those winds back up a little bit again. And as we go through the afternoon hours and Thursday night, you can see again the increase in winds. This will be more of a typical Santa Ana wind event, but it's going to keep the low relative humidities around, so it's going to make fighting fires difficult. And in any areas that are getting these gusty winds, it can make fighting some of these fires almost impossible. We go all the way on through Friday morning, still the offshore component, you'll notice. Then finally, it looks like we get somewhat of a wind switch here. Wind shift as we go through Friday afternoon, but that's not the end of the offshore winds. I'll show you more on that here in a moment. And I saw some actual video of this occurring, some of these embers getting lofted in the Palisades fire and just absolutely basting and coming down on different areas and reigniting fires and whatnot. So yeah, that's what we mean when we talk about long range spotting. This is in the red flag warning. They mentioned this as well. So embers getting lofted, and these eventually spread downstream, and they can easily jump interstates and, even go from ridgetop to ridgetop. So yeah, that's what long range spotting is. Now, taking a look at 500 millibars, again, there's the atmospheric hair dryer here just pointed down across Southern California. That will be sagging off to the south and east, however. And then we've got, still some ridging and some high pressure will be building back in for some offshore wind events ongoing as we go on in through next week as well. Look at this next inside slider here, just no rest for the weary. Another offshore wind event as we go through next week, keeping those low relative humidities going, and no sign of any warm, moist southwest flow back into the state of California, at least for the time being. Now, if we take a look at that last night's European model, so you can kind of see that cutoff low associated with the low pressure, ridge over the Pacific Northwest, strong river of air back down across Southern California. And if we scroll off into the future, you can see maybe getting a clip of precipitation there for Northern California. And again, not much for California as we scroll in towards the early portion of next week. So yeah, we are still in wait and see mode on what is going to come. Are we going to switch this pattern up eventually as we go through January or into February? That is yet to be seen. Wider view of things here at about 100 meters. Again, offshore winds as we go on in through the day Thursday. Bit of a bump there. We get a little bit of a switch here as we go through Friday, but quickly we're going to turn them back offshore as we go through the weekend coming up. Not as strong as an event as what we've been dealing with yesterday and today. But we're going to keep them offshore. And then, another moderate Santa Ana wind event looks like it's coming early next week also. But again, should not be as dynamic as what we've been having the last couple of days. But still, low relative humidities, fires potentially still ongoing. That could be a problem. And if we look at the GFS, it's in large agreement. We're looking at about 2,500 feet in the atmosphere. There's that bump as we go through Thursday night. A little bit of a wind shift there, and then we start to bring the offshore winds back as we go through the weekend. Not very strong initially, but as we go through, it looks like Monday and then Tuesday, and maybe another moderate Santa Ana wind event as we head off in towards Wednesday. And you can just see the persistent nature of these offshore winds all the way in through next week. No relief in sight. And if we take a look at 15-day precipitation anomaly, this was yesterday afternoon's European. You can see much of the west coast below normal, including much of California. And so 500 millibar heights, we already looked at that. Let's take a look at relative humidities. And as we go through the day today, you can kind of see them really plummeting. There are some single digits. Los Angeles Metro, much of Southern California, very dry, ebbing and flow. And as we go through some of the morning hours, and look at tomorrow as well, even a bit drier here across the region. And then we go on in through Friday, and as you can imagine, some offshore flow still around. Again, very low relative humidities as we go through the day Friday. Now, looking at the GFS, so there's that cutoff low, big ridge here, high pressure filling in. We had the atmospheric hair dryer over California, and again, no precipitation in sight, and additional rounds of some high pressure across the Great Basin driving those offshore winds as we go on into next week. We scroll off into the extended forecast, and you notice another cutoff low kind of sets up with one of these inside sliders, shows a little bit of precipitation trying to wrap back around in there, but we're looking, over 180 hours out into the forecast. We'll just continue to watch that as we have no sign of that southwest jet stream getting back across the Pacific Ocean north of the Hawaiian Islands and bringing us that precipitation back into the state. Here's a North American model at 5,000 feet, just kind of playing this through. You can see what's coming over the next 60 hours as the offshore flow continues again. I've probably repeated myself many times on that. Now, taking a look here, peak wind gusts. You can see as we go through the day on Thursday, you'll notice these turn a bit more easterly here, and you'll see some of these gusts come out here for more typical Santa Ana areas as we go through Thursday night into Friday morning. So yeah, just a heads up on these wind gusts here as we go on in through Friday morning. Now, look at the minimum temperatures as well. Look at how this is Thursday morning here, you can see some chilly conditions out there, and there's going to be some wind sheltered areas that really drop off at some of these temperatures. You know, you're going to feel the chill in the air even across some of Southern California. And then you can see as we go through Friday, Saturday, look at this. You know, there's some 30s showing up there, some low 40s. San Joaquin Valley cooling off, desert areas as well. Again, wind sheltered areas. Getting pretty chilly here as we go through the weekend coming up. And then today, you can see Thursday, there's some 70s out there across Southern California as well. Should be a little bit warmer today than it was yesterday, apparently. And then as we go through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can kind of see some 50s around the valley areas there as we go on in through early next week. 6 to 10 day temperatures, still some below normal here across some of the Southwest as we go through January 17th. But the big story again here is the precipitation outlook, 6 to 10 days below, 8 to 14 days, kind of a broad brush below here for a lot of the West Coast. But again, that below normal signal there. So we'll continue to watch that over the next few days. But this is the experimental product for winds, and you can see they're calling attention to the potential for these offshore winds to continue. So anyway, I hope you're being safe out there. Let's take a look actually here at the Doppler radar. Look at the Eaton fire. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous, producing so much smoke. Doppler radar, not just for precipitation. This is the smoke plume coming off their very vigorous fire activity. Wow, there's Pasadena right there. So, you know, Glendale, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, you are getting bathed in some of that smoke, and these embers are no doubt flying around here, hopefully not creating additional fires. I know there's a couple additional fires out there towards Burbank and a little bit towards the northwest. And then, of course, we had the Palisades fire there. It doesn't look like it's producing quite as much smoke, but I know it was burning out towards Malibu last night and this morning as well. So, yeah, wish we had better news on this front, but winds are going to continue probably till early afternoon. You'll notice them start to die off from many locations, but they're still going to be ongoing through this evening. And then again, more rounds of it coming as we go through Thursday night into Friday morning, and then potentially through next week as well. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Otherwise, hopefully everybody is safe out there and heated. Any evacuation warnings, pay attention to your local authorities. Have your stuff charged, have a grab bag ready to go if you need to leave at a moment's notice. Otherwise, click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.